Hi, my name is Stephen Abery. I'm a CNB agent along with my son Tristan, and we're here at the Cannes Yachting Festival in 2025, where we've had the pleasure to show the CNB 62 for the first time. It's a boat that we've been talking about and developing now for the last 3 or 4 years, following the switch to the Solaris group. It's a boat which we've all, as agents, had some input to, and the result, I think, we're just all super happy with. We're starting in the cockpit, and we're starting the cockpit, I think, for a really good reason. It is a cockpit which, for me, is absolutely head and shoulders across any other boat in this category of the marketplace, and in fact I think is ahead of many boats larger than the 62. It really had an overriding objective to be a yacht that could be handled short-handed by a family. It's a boat where we have no intention that many of the owners will want or require crew, and there are a number of fundamental elements which make the boat suitable and works for that target market. The first is the arch. The arch enables us to keep the main sheet out of the cockpit, and for safety it's obviously a really important feature. It also allows great control over the main sheet. The main sheets come back to the forward of these two pairs of winches, so when you're sat at the helm, you're really in control of the power of the yacht, and she is a powerful yacht. Having sailed her, she really eats up the miles. The other aspect of the cockpit which I think makes her stand out is the fact that we've moved the wheels relatively far forward. She obviously isn't a centre cockpit design and avoids many of the issues of a centre cockpit design, of changes of level, and a feeling of separation, and really quite awkward to move around. Really, you can see we're on one level right the way through here, and when in harbour or relaxing, you have a vast area after the helms. By having this design, it means that really moving around is very secure, but you have a cockpit which, having shown the boat now to quite a number of clients and clients who've had larger boats, in fact this cockpit, I think the seating area is larger than it was on the CNB 66. So there are a number of elements here which just have come together to make it, for me, absolutely the leading cockpit in this segment of the market. Another element of the design connected to the cockpit is we felt it is absolutely essential in this day and age to have a garage for the tender. You can access the garage from above here. This particular boat has Williams 285. You have two very large lazarettes which are properly finished, really good storage areas. In fact, the life raft of this boat is in the starboard lazarette at the moment, but on passage these fittings here and here are designed to carry the life raft. The access to the garage and access to the water, if I come over onto the passerelle, you have a garage door, which of course also doubles as the bathing platform, and a system which you may be able to see in a minute that we've got 2 sets of rollers which lift out from the garage, and they pop into the sockets on the aft deck. And then there is a winch which really, as soon as the line which goes to the winch is released, the dinghy starts to slide down into the water. Obviously recovery is the reverse of that, using the winch, and really is a one-person operation. So again, all those various elements of the cockpit, the dinghy garage, have been integrated together, I think, with tremendous success. We'll next go and have a look on the foredeck and look at the different options for the rig. So here on the foredeck of CNB 62 hull number 1, we're looking at a boat which has been specified with a carbon mast with an in-mast furling mainsail. She has a carbon V-boom, so it is an owner really who wanted both the aesthetic of the V-boom combined with ease of handling. It's quite an expensive option, so we're also able to supply the boat with a standard aluminium mast with either in-mast furling, a slab reef main, or in-boom furling. The second hull in fact has in-boom furling, and the third boat has an aluminium mast with in-mast furling, and I think they probably will be the two most popular options, and they each have their merits. Of course, it depends on the owner, it depends on the owner's program, and that's something we can work with the owner and talk to our sail lofts. Most of the boats either have north sails or incidence. Nearly all of the boats have been specified as a cutter rig, so you have an inner stay with a staysail on a self-tacking rail, and then an overlapping genoa. Of course, with this setup, it does mean when tacking, you have to at least half furl the genoa as you tack. But it gives you enormous flexibility and also a ready-made sail which is going to set well for heavier winds. This boat has the optional bowsprit. Again, that works extremely well, both from keeping the anchor away from the bow and also for flying light weather sails. Not surprisingly, there are all sorts of options, code sails on hydraulic furlers. Again, everything to make the boat handle easily, but really get fantastic performance. When we were sailing the boat in 15 to 18 knots of real breeze on the initial sails, we easily saw 10 knots on the log, and she just gave the feeling that she would keep doing that all day long given the right wind. Really super impressive under sail. So just to finish on the foredeck, there are a couple of other things I'd like to highlight. We have a huge bow locker capable of taking a couple of light weather sails and also folding bikes, any amount of gear that you might want for long-term cruising. And there are a couple of things which really emphasize the quality. We now are using Solimar hatches, beautiful finish, proper metal handles, and a really nice feel to the boat. Of course, they're more expensive than a Lumar hatch. You look at the way that the decks have been executed, they're proper 10mm teak. You see that there are continuous seams running right the way down the side decks, so from an aesthetic point of view, they're just gorgeous. The level of detailing that is now possible in the Solaris factory is just fabulous. And it's been interesting this week showing clients of different nationalities who owned and have owned in the past oysters, contests, discoveries and boats of that type. They have all looked at the boat and felt that the quality is truly top. So here we are in the CNB 62's interior. So we're in the saloon. And I'm stood in this fantastic galley. You probably noticed I was quite excited about the success of the cockpit. Well, I'm equally excited about the interior. It's just a massive success. It is spacious, it's beautifully executed. This particular boat has been specified with a walnut finish. There is also a natural oak finish, which I personally very much like. And we have other opportunity for a teak finish, and we can discuss any manner of detailing in terms of upholstery and some different options for the layout on the starboard side. It is full of natural light from the coach roof windows. You have two pairs of windows here, which when sat, you have a great view to the sea, a spacious dining area. This seating area, I think, is just fantastic. I've not seen the same on a boat of this size. So in harbour mode, you've got two facing sofas, which 4 people could happily sit here, playing cards, just chatting, having a pre-dinner drink. It really feels luxurious. It feels hugely spacious from where I'm sat in the corner looking out towards the galley. Honestly, it's hard to believe that this is a 62-foot yacht. Lots of clever ideas that have been incorporated, such as this backrest, which flips over, and voila, you have a desk or navigating area, which works tremendously well. The galley is huge. You've got storage, washer dryer, dishwasher, masses of refrigeration, a microwave, an electric oven. I really can't see how you could expect to have anything more built into a yacht of this size. The liaison between the galley and the saloon is terrific. It's just so well thought through. The finishes and the feeling of light, this combination of having areas finished in wood, and beautifully finished in wood, I should say. Lots of detailing. There's a feeling of quality throughout the boat. But then you have these light-coloured areas and then fabric finishes. It gives a feeling of a mix of textures, and it's just a lovely place to be. Going forward from the galley, we have the owner's suite. You have to pinch yourself and remind yourself this is a 62-foot yacht. Central and extremely large double bed. We have hull ports, which really again give you that connection to the environment. 2 large skylights above. Round behind where Tristan is filming, there's an array of wardrobes, lots of thought about storage, making it easy to access, and it gives a lovely feeling of space, this almost vestibule area as you come in. Lots of detailing to the finish. This works tremendously well. And then last but not least, again, what must be the biggest bathroom I've seen on a yacht of this size. So let's go and have a look at the guest accommodation. The first element, which is another feature, an example of the great thought and planning that has gone in, is actually creating an entry vestibule and corridor, which gives a great feeling of privacy with enough headroom, only 2 steps to come down, and you really feel you're going into a separate guest area of the yacht. We'll start in the starboard cabin, which is a twin cabin, which can also have an infill to create a really large double. Again, you've got a hull port, You've got lots of storage. There are cupboards here, and then a bedside cupboard, shelves, a great wardrobe, and again, a fantastic bathroom. It's an area which any guests are going to find tremendously comfortable, whether it be for a few days or a longer stay. It's, again, I think probably one of the best guest cabins I've seen on a yacht of this size. On the port side, there is a double cabin. Again, lots of wardrobes and storage. There's lots of light coming from an overhead deck hatch, which is actually covered over by the cockpit cushions at the moment, and of course a great ensuite bathroom. So up until now, we've been talking about the aesthetics and the ease of handling and the great space utilization in the yacht. But I'd also like you to have a little look in the engine room. It gives you an idea of just how well engineered and well finished the 62 is. You have 2 layers of floors. The first floors lift up with this sucker, and then we have these heavier sound insulated boards above, supported by hydraulic rams that are strong enough to hold the floors up whilst you get access. Obviously Volvo D4, an Onan generator, the water maker, the air conditioning handlers, the batteries, all housed in this area, which makes maintenance and access extremely easy. You can see the strainers. It's all part of making the yacht easy to use and easy to maintain. It's also, of course, great for weight distribution. Keeping the weight in the center of the yacht helps with the sailing, and it's just part of a really great all-round package. Sound insulation is great. You can hardly hear the engine from the cockpit. Vibration is almost nil. The generator is very quiet, and in fact closed up you can hardly hear it. You can of course have these days lithium batteries, which will allow the air conditioning to run overnight. It's just again an element of a really well built and a really well designed yacht.